The whole internet blew up after the Cowboys' win on Thanksgiving, and like always, the loudest reactions went straight to officiating. Calls, non-calls, and the usual conspiracy talk about a rigged game. I'm with you in wanting answers, but here's my short, clear thesis up front. Yes, some calls were frustrating and inconsistent, and I'll get into those. But the referees didn't hand the game to Dallas. The Chiefs handed Dallas far too many opportunities to seize the moment through self-inflicted errors, missed chances, and mounting injuries that quietly changed how this team operates. That's the truth I want to unpack with you. Start with the simple facts from the film. There were turnovers the defense didn't convert into points. There were high-leverage drops and missed reads on offense. And there were penalties and mental errors that turned manageable situations into long yardage or stalled drives. Patrick Mahomes still threw 4 touchdowns and no picks. He gave you a shot, but the offense stalled for long stretches in the middle of the game, and the defense surrendered explosive plays they shouldn't have. Add in the offensive line chaos, injuries and emergency fill-ins, the secondary getting torched on slants more than once, and a pass rush that basically didn't show up. And you have a recipe for a one-score loss even without bad officiating. Now, I'm not saying officiating never mattered. There were DPI calls and some borderline holds that moved chains, but the Chiefs had multiple moments where they could have made plays themselves. A free play deep ball that should have been attacked at the half. A key 3rd and long where Mahomes missed a wide-open Rashee Rice. Crucial drops, and a 4th and 4 call where Andy Reid punted in Cowboys territory instead of going for it with Mahomes. Those are choices, execution errors, and missed opportunities. And if you stack enough of them together, you don't need refs to lose the game for you. Before I break the game down play by play and show exactly where the swing plays were, tell me this in the poll. Do you blame the refs, Chiefs' execution, or injuries? Drop your vote and leave one sentence in the comments explaining why. And if you're new here, please subscribe. Help us hit 6,000 subscribers. And hit like if you want the deep film breakdown for every big Chiefs game. Stay locked with Total Chiefs News. Hail Chiefs! There's no denying that some calls in this game were eyebrow-raising. A couple of DPI flags, a soft hold or two, and that offensive pass interference on a critical drive. And I get why fans are angry. But if you step back and watch the tape with a clear eye, you see that a handful of whistles didn't create the loss so much as they highlighted an already fragile game plan and execution. Yes, the DPI that moved the chains and the flag that knocked back a promising Chiefs drive changed field position in spots, but there were at least as many plays that the Chiefs simply failed to make regardless of officiating. For example, on the free play deep shot near halftime when Dallas jumped offside, Xavier Worthy didn't attack the ball, and that sequence, had it been completed, would have put the Chiefs in scoring range with time and timeouts to spare. That's not a ref decision. That's a competitive play that wasn't made. Later, the two-handed DPI calls on McDuffie and the 4-yard grab on Jalen Watson in the 4th quarter were frustrating and costly. Sure, but the Cowboys also converted on 3rd and long plays where the Chiefs' coverage was beat cleanly. Slants, quick in-cuts, and a few blown leverage assignments that no whistle should have fixed. On offense, you had a clear example where Mahomes either didn't see Rashee Rice on 3rd and 16 or couldn't connect, and Rice's later drop on a 3rd and 8 was a self-inflicted wound that erased a real chance to flip momentum. And then there's Andy Reid's 4th and 4 punt decision in Cowboys territory. A coaching choice, not an officiating call, that shifted the expected win probability in a way refs never could. The reality is a mixed bag. Some calls were borderline, and some were egregious, but many of the biggest swings were driven by missed tackles, missed catches, defensive coverage breakdowns, offensive line penalties, and conservative decision-making at key moments. If you fix the drops, if you stop giving up easy slants, if you attack a free play inside the red zone, that game looks very different even with the officiating the way it was. So here's the key takeaway I want you to walk away with from this section. Officiating mattered in pieces, but it was never the dominant reason for the loss. Execution and situational play were. Quick yes, no. Should fans obsess over the refs? Yes. Or focus on execution? No. Drop a one-word vote in the comments, refs or execution, and add a single sentence explaining why. And if you haven't already, please subscribe too. Help us hit 6,000 subscribers and smash the like button so I keep bringing this kind of film breakdown. Stay locked with Total Chiefs news. You need to hear this straight. Patrick Mahomes gave you every chance to win. 23 of 34 for 261 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions. But football is a team game, and the offense left too many points on the field. The middle of this game was an offensive blackout. 2 quarters where drives stalled, penalties and missed reads repeatedly flipped, manageable situations into punting or third and long disasters. Start with the easiest misses. The plays that aren't conspiracies, their execution. On the free play near halftime when Dallas jumped off sides, Xavier Worthy had an opportunity to attack the ball in the end zone and instead tried to body it. That single moment could have put you in scoring range with time and all 3 timeouts, and it didn't happen. A few plays later, Mahomes had a chance on 3rd and 16 to hit Rashee Rice. Rice was essentially free, yet the ball never connected. Those 2 plays alone turned a probable field goal situation into a punt and handed momentum back to Dallas. Then there are the drops. Rice's critical drop on 3rd and 8 in the 4th quarter erased a drive that could have changed the late-game script. You can't win close games when your go-to playmakers don't finish plays in high-leverage moments. Penalties were another self-inflicted tax. Legit holding calls, an offensive pass, interference on Xavier Worthy that wiped out a promising sequence, and multiple false starts and procedural setbacks consistently forced longer distances and fewer play-calling options. Those penalties not only killed drives, but also took the worst possible tool away from you, rhythm. When your line is banged up and you're trying to play catch-up, those penalties are amplified. Speaking of the line, the injury situation changed everything. With Josh Simmons out after a nasty wrist injury and Jawan Taylor leaving with a triceps issue, the depth rotation got scrambled. Backup linemen had to step into more advanced roles, and you saw the timing and protection seams that normally don't show up. Pressure and pressures allowed translated into Mahomes having to move off his spot more often, which constricted downfield timing and took away some of the effortless, accurate throws we're used to. It's not an excuse, it's context. You still expect better, but the harm was real. Then there's the coaching decision that will dominate headlines. 4th and 4 on the Cowboys' 44, down by 3, and Andy Reid elected to punt instead of going for it. That's not a referee call. That's a strategic, risk-reward choice. At the time, it felt cowardly to many viewers, and you're allowed to call it that. Because you have Patrick Mahomes, and you're in enemy territory. You can debate analytics, wind, kicker range, and game state context until the next game. But the bottom line is that decision dramatically affected win probability. And it was a coach's call, not the refs. Whether you agree with Reid or not, the truth is that teams that refuse to press for 4th down conversions in those situations often lose the close games that define seasons. Finally, the play calling and situational reads deserve scrutiny. There were 3rd and long situations where quick, safe completions would have kept chains moving and flipped field position. Instead, the offense settled into predictable, longer developing schemes that got eaten by pressure or rushed throws. Mahomes made the athletic, game-saving throws when needed. But too many times the Chiefs didn't put him or his receivers in positions to succeed. Pass protection, route discipline, and finishing catches all fell short. So here's what I want from you right now. Tell me in the comments which offensive play was the single biggest swing. Name the exact play and one sentence explaining why. And if you haven't yet, subscribe to help us hit 6,000 subscribers and hit like, so I keep breaking down every critical Chiefs game for you. You watched a defense that showed flashes of dominance but couldn't sustain its edge when the game tightened. For 3 quarters, Steve Spagnuolo's unit held Dallas to long, methodical drives rather than explosive plays. And that's normally the blueprint you want. But bend don't break only works if you finish red zone stands and win takeaway opportunities. And in this game, the Chiefs didn't. The most frustrating defensive moments weren't blown coverages or huge busted plays. They were near turnovers that never became turnovers. Tre'Davious White nearly snagged a sideline interception late, but his foot just grazed out of bounds. Then, in the final 2 minutes, Brian Cook had a perfect chance at an interception on a ball that traveled nearly 50 yards, the kind of deep shot you dream of picking to seal a road win. And it slipped away. In a 3-point loss, those aren't small misses. Those are game-tilting moments. Tackling across the defense was inconsistent, which is unusual for this group. On Tony Pollard's first touchdown run, a layered tackle opportunity collapsed. 2 defenders misaligned after initial contact, and Pollard walked in untouched. That is not Chiefs defense. Even on some key third downs, Dallas's receivers added extra yards after contact that should have been stopped short. You saw individual winners, Nick Bolton diagnosing screens instantly, George Karlaftis drawing doubles that freed teammates, Trent McDuffie locking down his side early. But the collective sharpness was off in the game's biggest sequences. And when you're playing a veteran quarterback like Dak Prescott, who rarely gives you the ball for free, you can't leave opportunities unclaimed. The injuries made everything trickier. Without Joshua Williams, the rotation forced younger corners into higher leverage reps, and Dallas attacked those matchups. Felix Anudike-Uzomah, being on injured reserve, removed an important edge-setting presence, and that subtly affected run fits, especially when Spagnuolo mixed lighter boxes on early downs. It doesn't excuse the breakdowns, but it explains the stress the unit carried. Depth matters late in the year, and the Chiefs were on the wrong end of that math. Even the pass rush, still strong but not as consistently disruptive as usual, struggled to finish plays. Dak escaped several pressures that would have been sacks on most quarterbacks, and those extra seconds turned potential third and longs into drive-sustaining completions. The final defensive drive sums up the night. Kansas City desperately needed one disruption. 1 tackle for loss, 1 sack, 1 ball on the ground. And Dallas executed with complete control. No chaos, no panic. They got into field goal range without resistance. In a game defined by tiny margins, that final sequence showed why the Chiefs couldn't steal this one. So here's your engagement moment. Which defensive moment swung the game the most? The near picks, the missed tackles, or the final drive? Drop your answer in the comments and explain why. And if you're watching this on Total Chiefs News, hit like and subscribe right now, so we can reach 6,000 subscribers and keep building this community one fan at a time. Stay locked with Total Chiefs News. Now that we've broken down every phase of the game, let's talk about the part you actually care about. What this loss means for the rest of the season. At 6-6, the Chiefs are officially in the tightest playoff race of the Patrick Mahomes era. That doesn't mean panic, but it does mean urgency. Real, immediate urgency. The margin for error is gone. Every remaining game becomes a must-execute situation, not because the team is broken, but because the AFC field is too competitive to sleepwalk through December. If you're frustrated, you're supposed to be. This team is used to being the hunter, not the hunted, and this season flipped that dynamic. The good news? Every problem you watched on Thanksgiving is fixable. Drops can be corrected. Penalties can be coached. Fourth down decisions can be improved. Injury absences heal. This wasn't a talent gap loss. It was a detail loss. Patrick Mahomes still gives you a higher weekly baseline than any quarterback in football. The defense, despite its miscues, remains one of the most complete in the league when healthy. You didn't watch a team that's collapsing. You watched a team that ran out of execution at the wrong moments. And seasons often swing not on who you are in November, but on how fast you learn from what November exposes. Andy Reid's teams historically respond well to adversity. You've seen it 100 times. The key now is creating emotional consistency. This team has to stop letting single mistakes snowball into multi-drive slumps. If Kansas City plugs even 2 of the 6 glaring issues from this game, third down drops, preventable penalties, missed turnover chances, drive-killing protections, slow mid-game adjustments, or conservative fourth down decisions, they instantly look like a playoff team again. The schedule gives you opportunity. Winnable games are ahead, and the Chiefs don't have to become perfect. They just need to become consistent. Mahomes doesn't require elite surroundings to win. He needs reliable ones. If Rashee Rice sharpens up, if the offensive line stabilizes even a little, and if the defensive backs capitalize on 1 or 2 turnover chances per game, the entire outlook shifts. And don't overlook the psychological bounce-back factor. Losses like this can either fracture a locker room or tighten it. Everything in this locker room's history suggests it tightens. But here's the truth you won't get from the hot take machines. The Chiefs are not dead. They're damaged, inconsistent, and behind schedule, but very much alive. And if they sneak into the postseason, nobody in the AFC wants to see a Mahomes-Reid team in January. So your engagement question for this final chapter is simple. Are the Chiefs still making the playoffs? Yes or no? And tell me why you believe it. I want to know where you stand. And if you're new here, help us hit 6,000 subscribers by subscribing to Total Chiefs News and smashing like so this video keeps reaching more fans like you. Stay locked with Total Chiefs News. Hail Chiefs!